So, all right, cross-pollination.
Mm.
Can you define it and maybe even give some examples to bring the approach and even its applications to life for everyone listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a great job of defining it earlier, and I kind of
Thank
touched
you.
on it. Touched on it a bit as well, but I mean, in a nutshell, it really is that practice of looking to outside and I think really unexpected fields and areas to learn about the things that they're doing, their strategies, their tools, the technologies they're using, and then transferring approaches and drawing analogies back to your business to innovate or create big ideas or just get smart, solve problems, build skills. I always like to say it's the most sophisticated game of connect the dots you could ever play. I mean, and when it
Like
comes
that.
to examples and even applications, I always the story I always love to tell is because it really brings it to life is this one about this children's hospital in London called the Great Ormond Street Hospital, where they were having some trouble with patient handoffs, which is moving patients from one area to another. So say from intensive care to surgery. And the reason they were having trouble is because it was just a crazy environment. It was busy, there was a lot happening, and communication was breaking down. So the wrong equipment was ending up in some rooms. The wrong medication was being prescribed to some people. So a couple of the doctors, they knew they had a problem, but they also knew that every other ER and every other hospital was having that same problem. So they weren't going to find solutions there. And they knew they needed to look outside of their industry, outside of not just their four walls, but their category in general. So what they did was they took their problem and they said, well, what do we really have a problem with? Let's step back and think about this. And I call that reframing a problem. And they stripped the industry jargon and just talking about a hospital out of it. And they said, you know what we have a problem with is handoffs in a high pressured situation. And that led them to a very unlikely source for inspiration, which was the Ferrari pit crew.
Huh.
So the Ferrari pit crew came into the hospital and watched the things that they were doing, and they were like, this is what you guys do? Like we would never get a car out of the pit if we did this. And in the end, the Ferrari pit crew told them about approaches that they use, like things like the lollipop man, or just the way they use nonverbal cues. And the hospital ended up applying those approaches, and they watched these mistakes. The percentage of those mistakes drop dramatically. And you would never think that a pit crew could help a hospital, but that's exactly what happened. So that's always my favorite example.